What is this mask and what's setting it apart from all the other masks that are being 3D printed, across the country and other universities?
Most of the masks that I've seen, there's a lot of people who are doing 3D printed masks. And as I said, there's surgical masks, and then there's sort of a next level. A lot of what I've seen are probably good stand-ins for surgical mask level, depending on the filter material that's being used in them. But without having a good fit around the outside, you have the potential for unfiltered air to leak in. So that's one of the things that we've been really focusing on, is to make sure that around the outside is sealed. The other thing is that a lot of people are 3D printing masks in their house and those sorts of things. Again, all of that's very valuable efforts, but often the material that they're getting, the plastic that's there, is a plastic called polylactic acid, or PLA, and it's not a very cleanable material.
Why is that so important, and how did you get there?
One of the kind of confusing things about what we're working on is there are really two levels of masks. Well, there's of course dozens, but in hospital settings, there's two major ones. One is a surgical mask, which is just the cloth thing that goes around your ears. That's primarily to protect the patient from the surgery. And so you see people wearing those up and down the street like they're providing great protection for the person who's wearing them, but it's actually the opposite. It's protecting everybody else from you. The N95 mask is what people wear when they're in a COVID ward and everyone has COVID, but you don't want it. You use an N95 mask for those situations. So our target has been to do N95 level protection or better. Reusable is important because those N95 masks are disposable. So someone might use 2, 3, 5, maybe more in a single day. We think there may be, because of the reuse, we start to replace, could be 100 of these masks. That means that we make one mask, but the impact is much larger. We also think it may be that we're moving towards something once we are able to do the testing, that we have something that's actually a viable solution longer term, that we have a better mask solution.
Can we talk about the custom fit a little bit? How did that come about? Did somebody on your team sort of have a eureka moment?
The really fancy breathing masks that are using with the big filters out in front of you, those have a big rubber gasket, big flexible rubber gasket. Well, big flexible rubber gaskets are not something that's really 3D printable. There's a few somewhat flexible materials, but not that flexible. And so in order to make up for not having something that's flexible, you have to have something that is sort of made to the contour of the face to get the fit right. So if you don't have this rubber that can make up for all those variations in different people's faces, you have to make up for that variation a different way. So that's how we kind of got to, with these probably need some kind of a custom fit. And then we found an iPhone app that works pretty good, that you just hold your phone up in front of your face and you follow the directions and you get a pretty good face scan that you can then send from your iPhone. That file, that sort of scan of your face, which it goes into a cloud database that has security on it that's appropriate for medical data and all of that kind of stuff. That data comes in, and almost entirely automated process. It's about to be totally automated. Happens in terms of design and CAD and everything, and a mask file pops out the other side. And that, of course, is key to being able to scale up. If it took a person an hour on their computer to customize the design of a mask, there's no scaling. I mean, we might be able to help a lot of people, but there's really no scaling to thousands of units. There's little details. I mean, we're saying that we're thinking ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that's kind of the idea, so that we would be able to do maybe 1,000 a day, something like that, just Central Texas, and 10,000 a day nationwide, something like that, just in round numbers.
10,000 a day. So what does the timeline look like for that? Like, how, if things fall into place, when do you imagine that 10,000 a day of these would be printed?
Well, I think, that's hard to say, because you have to have a certain level of confidence in the article, and that it's really working for people, and the instructions you have work, and that when they clean them over and over again, they're still working. There's a lot of question marks that have to be sort of ironed out. So the deployment's going to happen to Delmed, because that's a night. We've had lots of Delmed folks involved on a daily basis the whole time. It'll roll out to Delmed. It'll probably, get to more like the 100 per day kind of scale. But if we felt confident tomorrow that we have a good solution and all the instructions and all that are all drafted and that's all, coming together, we could be doing 100 a day next week. So it's really a scale up to 100 a day numbers or up to 1,000 a day numbers is really a matter of days.
And in that roadmap, can you describe a little bit how scaling this up looks? Where are hospitals who are they working with to print these masks? How are people being directed to take their photos so the masks are fitted? What does that all look like in your roadmap?
The short answer is a lot of the stuff we're making it up as we go along. So the way it's going to work is that EOS is going to be kind of the producer. They have several machines that they operate, and then of course they've got all of their customers that have a lot of these other machines. And so they're going to be kind of the person that's kind of managing the whole thing. So we have the software company that's setting up the system to receive the scans. And then we've got EOS that's going to coordinate making those. Now, we do not want to make decisions about which population of people at which organizations should get masks first. But there is already an organization that's kind of receiving supplies and kind of making some of those critical decisions about which supplies should go to which people and why. And so the idea is to kind of yield to some of those organizations that have that visibility across the different hospitals, across the different people in those hospitals, and that we would kind of yield to them. And then the way that it works is a given organization or hospital kind of applies to be sort of an official member in a sense. And that once that hospital's there, then people who are affiliated with it then have the ability to send their face scans in. So there's a little bit of a check and balance there. But the idea is that we don't need to pick who should get some of this safety equipment. People are already kind of in a position to make some of those critical decisions.
Yeah, and that really highlights too how important the reusable aspect of it is. I mean, in terms of being able to scale it, you're not going back consistently to the same 3 hospitals that need it the most. You're able to, you have
Right.
30 days to continue and print for other people. So that's huge. We so appreciate you taking the time. I have to say it's pretty bizarre to see you in the empty 40 acres.
I know, you probably haven't seen a single person walk by behind me.
No, it's super surreal, and it's uplifting to know you're in there working so hard. So we appreciate it.